big a win because they had really been struggling. But there's light at the end of the hope for them. They've also got some big-time recruits coming in already next year. They've got a 5-star landed. So Underwood's got it going. He seems like he's getting it. And that's a great example for Indiana fans to look at. Brett Underwood over at Illinois, they have just sucked. I mean, they have been the bottom of the barrel. But he's trying to turn it around. He's bringing in recruits. But it's not a 1-year turnaround. It's not a 2-year turnaround. But things are starting to happen for them. That's a huge win for them. They've got a 5-star coming in. That's a big recruit.
5-star big man.
Absolutely. So now that's the cue that the Hoosier Nation needs to take. Keep giving example after example. John Beilein, after 3 years, was like 46-53. They wanted to fire Mike Krzyzewski at Duke, and everybody said, well, those worked out great, but then what about the others? Doesn't matter. That's how it usually happens. You're going to go through bad years. You've got turnover. You've got different styles, different philosophies, and dang sure, different types of players. I promise you, there's not one player on that team, and I don't mean to offend any of them, but Archie Miller would not have recruited any player on that team that he hadn't recruited. I don't think.
Maybe Al Durham.
No, I don't know. Al Durham wasn't a point guard, was he?
Kind of. I think he was listed as a point guard, maybe.
But I don't. It would have been. So it's a different style of player, and it does make a difference. It does make a difference. Because, for one thing, those players were told one thing. They were brought in, hey, we're going to do this, and you fit that. Great. Well, this is a different style. So he didn't tell those players that. But just look over at Illinois. Good things come to those who wait. It's going to work out.
Promise.
But it ain't going to work out today. It's just not going to be today.
And it's sure as hell not going to work out if the Indiana fans continue to hijack the whole situation. Just let it play out.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, this ain't fun. I mean, I agree. It's not. It hasn't been any fun watching Indiana struggle the way they have.
Joker wants to know if we can throw in the white towel and forfeit the MSU game on Saturday. Ooh. MSU has the whole week to prepare and is coming off of their first conference loss. Will not be good for the Hoosiers. He predicts 81-44.
Whew. That's might be right, to be honest.
The only reason I don't think it'll be that bad is I don't know that Izzo will do that to Archie in the position he's in. Maybe not. I will see. But Joker he touched on that they are coming off their first loss. They're going to be pissed off, and they got a week of Izzo grinding on them. But it's not like they have a lot to. They don't need a week to prepare. My God. Everyone else is prepared easily. So,
watch game film from 2 games Indiana's played this year.
But it's important for Indiana to go up there and play hard. Now, Rutgers is the game that's scary. Rutgers is getting a little confidence. They're coming off of a win. They're going to be at home. They've beaten Ohio State there. I think Ohio State's a comparable team to Indiana, so this is not. It's going to be a tough one.
Yeah.
To me, I'd say that Indiana will be an underdog. So it would be an upset if they win that game.
Remember way back when this was the game at Rutgers was the one we were talking about that, not really a tough road game. All that has switched. It's in just a month. It's crazy.
Well, the Big Ten Conference is raising itself up. We've talked all year long. Everyone's talked all year long about the depth and how good the Big Ten is this year. Well, that is trickling down all the way to the bottom, all the way to Rutgers and to Illinois. Penn State is probably the worst team in the conference now. But Illinois and Rutgers are battling right there at the bottom, but yet both of them have managed to beat teams they should not have beaten. that shows even deeper depth of this conference. It's truly amazing, and that's another thing Indiana fans really have to understand. Dude, this is the wrong year in the Big Ten to be mediocre at best. It's just not good timing is all. So that's playing a part of it. And it's just it's a time of change for Indiana, and it's just not going to happen overnight. And people keep telling them and saying, and it comes from all different directions. But it's like they say, okay, but if they did this, well, but they don't do that well. But if they could shoot 3 points, but they don't. You heard Todd on the show the other night when we did after the postgame show with Todd Leary. I said, yeah, they're not a great three. He goes, great. He goes, they're not even a good one.
It's true.
It is true, but that's okay. It is what it is. You got to get through it. You got to believe in the process. You got to build it. It wasn't there. Everyone is acting like this is a team that is coming off of 10 years of NCAA visits and deep runs into the tournament. No. He inherited a team that did not make the tournament, to my knowledge.
Correct.
So, why are these expectations so high? I know the Romeo effect, but he's one guy.
And he's been struggling.
Well, part of that struggle, I think, is because the team is struggling. The free throws, though, I'm not going to give. There are no excuses for that. None. I don't even want to hear it. I don't care how bad things are. Bear down. Shoot the damn free throw. It's a 15-foot shot that you've been shooting since you were in high school. Since you were in grade school. Hit the damn free throw. You're in Division I. Now that is ridiculous. That's utterly ridiculous because that is nothing but intestinal fortitude, mental strength. That tells me this team is not locked in. They are not locked in. And I'll give you another example, and I've been pissed off since it happened about it. When Justin Smith lost his shoe, and he's farting around trying to grab his shoe and put his shoe on while the guy's scoring a layup right in front of him. That is not locked in. I don't care if my shoe comes off. My guy's right here, and I know that. I'm not leaving him. I've seen shoes come off in every sport. I have never seen it cause an athlete to hesitate in any way. They always go on with it. Anthony Davis, I think it happened to not too long ago, running up and down the court without a shoe on. Right. But Justin Smith's got to get that shoe. Oh, that's okay. My guy's right here at the basket. That doesn't matter. That's not locked in. You're not locked in a competitive. Your mind is not locked into say that I will stop this guy at all costs. He's not locked in. I don't understand how that's possible. I just don't understand how you are not at your competitive zenith when you're on that court.
Well, and that's what it seems like has happened. I mean, listening to Archie in the postgame show, which we'll play some of that today, but he just seems defeated. I mean, I honestly almost felt bad for him watching that the other night.
Well, after that, I understand.
Yeah. It's just like he's been tore down. That has no idea what to do. Which he's the coach, gets paid millions.
But see, right then, Justin Smith should have been subbed out immediately. Yeah. And I would have asked him, what? WTF? WTF are you doing? Are you lost? Did you not see the guy that you were guarding right beside you? Now that just stuff like that is aggravating. The other stuff I'm dealing with, but that kind of stuff that aggravates me. And I'd like to know how are those things addressed? In what manner are they addressed? I think those are kind of some of the things that they're underlying that are adding to this frustration. People think they're not giving their all out. And there's an example that leads to that, in my opinion. Just what I think.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that.
But it's kind of mind-boggling. And it's hard because everyone else sees these teams improving as the year go on. Purdue's a perfect example. No way did I think they would make the tournament in the beginning of the season. I knew what they had lost, and they were playing just like that. But then the supporting cast stepped up and started giving Carson Edwards what they needed to, and he has all the confidence in the world, and so now they're rolling. Everyone's accepted their role and is relishing in their role. Now they've got players that have been there for 3-4 years.
Can you tell me more about this supporting cast?
Yeah, obviously you recruit guys that will stay there for 3 or 4 years, and you sprinkle in a couple big 5 stars. Archie will have that. He will have that. Rob Fennessy's one of those guys. Armand Franklin is one of those guys. TJD and if they get Keon Brooks are sprinkles. But he's got to have a team. He's going to get a team full of Armand Franklins and Rob Fennessy's.
Guys that want to play his way.
Guys that will play his way, but also guys that are going to help the team get older. You have to always be getting older. Archie talked about that at the beginning of the year. I know Matt Painter talked about that in the Indiana post-game press conference. And what he means by that is having players that are there for 3 or 4 years. Having juniors and seniors on your team, not all freshmen and sophomores. Because freshmen make mistakes. I don't care who you are. It does not matter. Freshmen make mistakes. It's a different level. It's a lot of learning. Doesn't mean that Romeo Langford is not as talented as we think he is. He is. He's still got a lot to learn. You think he's not going to have stuff to learn when he goes to the NBA? He's going to have more to learn. More to learn.
Oh, 9 points on Friday night. He's far from done learning.
Well, he's right now the Big Ten seems to have him, I don't want to say figured out, but
somewhat figured out.
Part of that, but again, he doesn't have a supporting cast that, say, Carson Edwards has. They're focusing on him. They're shutting down the passing driving lanes and leaving the perimeter open because Indiana can't take advantage of it. That's like if you're playing against, in football, you're playing against a team that just runs the ball. You're going to load the box. You're going to have all the guys up on the line of scrimmage. You're not going to worry about them throwing deep. They can't throw the ball. Indiana doesn't shoot the long ball, so they're not going to guard the perimeter as much. Pack it in. That's what they're doing, which is affecting Romeo Langford. He doesn't have the help. He doesn't have guys out there knocking down some shots to loosen that defense up and to keep it loose. A lot of pressure on him as well. A lot on his shoulders. We got a lot coming up on the show today. Don Fisher's on the program. Drew Davis will be here. Sammy Jacobs coming up next. John Bowl from Wave 3 News as well. Plenty more. Stay tuned. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle's back right after this.
Guess I just won't get paid. These are the days when you wish your bed was already made.
This is Jim Coyle, and I'm out on the road covering the Hoosiers. You can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch specials. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or at indianasportsbeat.com. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. We don't miss a beat. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. 28th of January, joined now by Sammy Jacobs from Hoosier Huddle. Sammy, how are you, sir?
I'm doing very well. How are you, Jim?
Loving it. Just getting through the weekend, ready for another week of action, and that's about it. Ready for this cold weather that's coming our way. I'll tell you that. I'm not ready for it. I promise you that.
Yeah, I think the high on Wednesday here is like -6. So.
Man, that's just not right. That's just not even human. Whew.
Well, it's an Arctic blast. We'll see.
We'll see. Indiana's got some certain needs at recruiting right now. They've got a few spots left open. The next signing period here, I think, in February. They're hoping to add a few little pieces here and there. I know the offensive line is something they'd like to address, but they've got a lot of different little specialty needs they could fill.
Yeah, the February signing day is the first Wednesday of February, so I believe that's the 6th. IU has 5 spots that are open that they need to fill, and they got to fill it with their biggest needs, which are along both of the lines, offensive and defensive. They use a receiver since they're very veteran heavy at a receiver, and could use another defensive back. So you could probably see IU follow them on, follow some guys on Twitter. There are a couple prospects that they're after, but those are the main areas of need that they have to fill before this, recruiting cycle ends, a week from Wednesday.
And truthfully, this is a conversation we could have every year. It seems like in the Big Ten, Indiana's probably their biggest need is at the line position on both sides. I mean, you've got Ohio State, Michigan's, and then Penn State's, and all those guys. So and Indiana's usually not as good in the lines as they are, obviously, because they're able to recruit bigger, deeper. And if Indiana could ever get over that hump as far as getting a solid line, they have pieces in all the other parts to be a very, very good team.
Yeah, but recruiting on the line is extremely difficult, and finding and evaluating guys on the line is extremely difficult. So that's where the big time coaches make their money, and that's how depth is made, and they sign 3 or 4 of these big time linemen, and you hope a couple of them work out, and then you build around there. But IU has a veteran line coming back, and they're going to need to land somebody in this class so they don't have to go after 5 linemen next year and maybe space it out a little bit.
Absolutely. And good linemen, game-changing linemen, they're harder to come by than specialty players a lot of times, aren't they?
Well, there's just not many of them. And when you do have them, Michigan, so to go find that.
You're cutting out a little bit on us. Well, I think we may have lost him. We'll get him back here in a second. But, if I had to talk about the football program.
There?
Yeah, there we go.
Sorry, it must be the cold weather cutting us out up here. But it's difficult because there's so few big-time, game-ready linemen that are coming out of high school, and those are the ones that are get gobbled up by the elite teams of college football.
And then it's hard. It's harder to develop. Is it harder to develop a lineman than, say, a wide receiver? I mean, if you get a guy that's a 3-star, you've got to train him up to where he's got to go up against these 5-star linemen that Michigan has or Ohio State has.
I don't know if it's harder to train them up. I mean, every kid is going to be different. But as a younger player, to have the size, physicality, technique, and all that stuff, there's a reason kids are ranked 5 stars and kids are ranked 3 stars. And it's going to take some time for 3 stars to develop, put on weight, learn the right technique. I mean, college football is a game where it's an upperclassman game. You get bigger, faster, stronger as you grow older, and up until a certain point, of course. But you got to develop these guys, and it's case by case if it's difficult. I mean, you saw Dan Feeney and Jason Spriggs were under-recruited guys, and they're playing in the NFL, and were all Americans, and went up against the best in the Big Ten and held their own.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not like Indiana doesn't produce talent, because there's several guys in the league right now that are from Indiana that are playing on the line. Or not, I shouldn't say several, but there are guys in the league from the line. So it's not that they're not there; there just aren't as many. And I think that's just a huge difference between being able to really compete with the Iowas and all those teams, because they're going to be loading up in those positions, and that really just makes it a lot easier for you to run your offense, to protect your quarterback, to open the holes for the running backs. It just obviously makes things better for you and gives you the opportunity to have a lot more success.
Yeah, definitely. And there's I believe 3 guys on the line in the NFL. You have Roger Saffold with Los Angeles, who's going to be playing on the Super Bowl on Sunday. And then you have Feeney with the LA Chargers, and Jason Spriggs, who's with the Green Bay Packers. So, yeah, you're right. It's offensive line. IU has a little bit of a tradition there, and they've been good over the past several years. But in order to build back up, you have a senior class coming in next year where I think you're going to end up losing 5 guys off that senior class from the line. So you're going to have to, maybe bring in a JUCO transfer too, and find some freshmen that you can develop and really balance out these classes, so you don't have to go after to find 5 really good linemen who are going to help you in one class is asking a little too much out of the recruiting wise for Indiana, for anybody.
And you said right now they've got a veteran line coming back. How are they adept, though? Because, there's always injuries in the line when you go through the course of a Big Ten season. There's no way to get through it without a couple of games of needing somebody. How are they adept right now at that position?
I mean, we'll see when it comes spring ball time and who's back and all those things. But Devondre Love coming back, if he can contribute at depth to that position, and then Matthew Bedford, we saw him at the basketball game on Friday night, and he's a mountain of a man, and this kid is a kid who should still be in high school, finishing up his senior year, is an early enrollee, and he looks every bit of a part of a Big Ten lineman as an 18-year-old high school student. So we'll see what depth can he contribute.
That's huge, because most linemen don't come in with that. They have to really be packed on the pounds and the strength and all that. They usually don't come in college ready into the Big Ten like that. Is he somebody that could possibly step in and play? I'm not saying start, but be a backup next year?
Possibly. He has to perform, and he has to go through the winter workouts. But coming in January, having 4 or 5 extra months with Ballou and Dr. Ray and the Indiana strength coaches is certainly going to help, and going through a spring ball. But Indiana up front is, you're always an injury or 2 away from not having any depth. But they'll be similar to last year in terms of depth. They have some good guys coming back. You have Coy Cron coming back. You got to replace Brandon Knight. You have to see how Caleb Jones has developed, if he could step in and take over from Brandon Knight in those places. So, yeah, it should be another. You should have 7 guys, but anywhere, if you lose 1 or 2 guys, you're going to struggle with, with depth.
Absolutely. Someone said that the Pro Bowl was on yesterday. I didn't even watch it. The NFL All-Star Game has got to be just one step above the NHL All-Star Game. I don't know that it gets a lot of viewers.
The NHL All-Star Game is fantastic.
Oh, is it? I didn't watch it. I just assumed. It's probably better than the NFL.
It's fantastic. The NHL Skills Challenge is fantastic, and then the NHL moved to a 3-on-3 round-robin tournament from the division in hockey, and it's fantastic. It's basically you're watching pickup hockey, and it's fast-paced, wide-open ice, and it's like going to the playground or a frozen pond and watching pond hockey. I really enjoy watching the NHL All-Star Game.
Well, it was all over the weekend, but Sammy, I appreciate you joining us. Thanks a lot. Look forward to talking to you again soon.
All right, Jim, thanks.
Sammy Jacobs from HoosierHuddle.com. Make sure you check out the content there. We've got plenty more coming up on Indiana Sports Beat today. Don Fisher's on the show in the next segment. Drew Davis coming up next, though. Stay tuned. We're back right after this. This is Jim Coyle, and I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers. You can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area, or just meet friends for happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knot. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch specials. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knot.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or at indianasportsbeat.com. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. We don't miss a beat. Brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. With hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
You get a shiver in the dark.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Joined now by our good friend Drew Davis from Peeps.com. Drew, how are you, sir? How was your weekend?
It was good, man. How about you?
Good, good. A lot of high school basketball over the weekend. Some good teams and games going. I know that Justin was on the call. Evansville Rights played Floyd Central with Kobe Barnes. Christian Lander, of course, on Rights, and Kobe Barnes. That was a big game, one of the big games over the weekend.
Yeah, I was able to catch some of the clips from that game, and it looked like it was a game where Wrights elevated their play, and it looked like a fairly good basketball game. And I'll be interested to see the full game of that when I get a chance to go back and look at it.
And Justin, you were obviously there for that game. What were your thoughts? You got to see two of the best players in the state.
Yeah, I've seen Kobe Barnes a number of times, but Christian Lander really impressed me. I mean, the way he rises up and shoots, He shot over Kobe Barnes 3 or 4 times from the perimeter, and I was like, what are you doing? And then it would go in. I mean, it was incredible watching him play.
Yeah, I think Indiana could use a shooter like that right now. That would sure be helpful to that offense.
Yeah, they could definitely use someone that can put the ball in the basket, or even someone that could put the ball on the floor and get by defenders like Landry's able to as well.
And that's definitely the type of player that Archie's looking for right now, or one of. And that's one of the needs that they're in, to have someone that can hit that stand-up, knockdown shot from outside in a contested shot. Someone who's not going to just be afraid to shoot. And I don't think Christian Lander definitely is not afraid to shoot. Of course, he's only a sophomore, so he's got a few years to go, and he's being recruited by everybody in the country already. He's going to be another great talent, among others in the state. But that's definitely someone that Indiana, or a type of player this Indiana team could use right now.
Well, most definitely, Archie's, you look at the roster he has now, and there's not really anyone that can put the ball on the floor and blow by anyone, with their speed with the ball in their hands. And Christian definitely, is one of those guys that can do that. And for Indiana, that's something they need desperately.
Absolutely. What were some of the other big games over the weekend that you got to take in and check out as far as great players in the state of Indiana?
On Saturday night, I went to Washington and check out Southridge versus Washington. Southridge has a 2021 prospect in Colson Montgomery that, Colson just always seems to find a way to win no matter what sport it is. He's a great baseball player. Many people, see him as a prospect coming out of high school, and that's his main sport. But he plays basketball, baseball, and football, and that basketball's probably his second-tier sport. But on Saturday night he had 35 in the game I went to, and then he hit the game winner out of the corner to 170-170, and he was really good. I thought he looked really good. He turned the corner, and I thought his change of pace showed improvement. I was also impressed with his ball handling ability. I thought the handles looked tighter, and I think that just comes from him, getting to play basketball more often. Now, kind of, at this point, Coach starting to get back into the basketball groove, and he's a player that I really like, and I think it's very impressive to see, how it's very impressive to see the level he's able to play, basketball, baseball, and football at, and you don't see that very often.
No, you don't. Another thing that Hoosier Nation is really, we've talked about this, been weighing in on social media about a lot of things, and a lot of people even reach out. They include and tag some of these high school players in their posts, which just utterly amazes me when somebody does that. I think that it's ridiculous, and it is childish. But then you got people reaching out. Oh, you need to reevaluate, like the Trace Jackson needs to reevaluate your recruiting, and it got to the point to where he actually put out a piece that said basically, or exactly what he said, is a lot of people have been making up rumors that I am trying to decommit. These are not true. I chose this program and will stick with them through good and bad. Hoosier Nation, I am not giving up on you. That came from a kid, an 18-year-old kid, because idiots are just going nuts on social media.
Yeah, I've not seen really the example, or some of the example tweets that could have potentially caused that. So I found that interesting. But I think it's kind of ridiculous that Trace just happened to tweet stuff out like that. He signed and everything. So obviously, whoever said that clearly doesn't understand the difference between being a commit and the difference between being a signee.
Well, I think we lost him. But we'll get him back in a second. Yeah, we did lose him. We'll get him back on the line here in a second. But it's just utterly boggles my mind when people will do that. I mean, make your comments, that's fine. Why are they tagging the individual players? That should not even... It's ridiculous that an adult... I'm not saying these are all adults. A lot of them are not. A lot of them are kids. But people, period, just should not. Just make your opinion, and that's fine. But you don't need to tag the people into it. I think that's ridiculous when you bring them in. We've got Drew back with us. But Drew, you were saying?
Yeah, it just kind of it's perplexing to me that the Indiana fans finally need to tweet at recruits, and especially somebody that's like Trace that's committed and then making up rumors and stuff like that. There's just no place for it. I still can't believe that at the end of the day he's an 18-year-old kid and he's has to tweet stuff out like that.
Yeah, and now sometimes, though, you get trollers on there who just are starting stuff up, and it doesn't take anything. You get one person to say something. The funny thing is, and I've said this before, what gets the most noise, it's not the people who say those things, it's all the responses. If someone says, hey, I heard Trace Jackson is going to decommit, boy, that's all it takes. One day, and you will have 3,000 responses to that. And if no one actually responded to it, it would not be talked about. It would not even be addressed. It would be it would not like it was not even there. But after the ton of people respond to it and start the conversation about it, that's what actually does it. And people crack me up because it's the people on the other side that are actually driving these rumors. It's not the rumor starters.
Exactly. One person says something, and other people seem to see it and they comment on it, and they think just because they see it, and they think about the rumor that that must mean it's true, even though that's just absolutely crazy to think about. Well, I guess that's just the way it is with Twitter these days, and I still think it's a little ridiculous the fact that some of the things that have been said from the Indiana fan base over the last couple of weeks. I know every fan base has people like that, and it's a small portion of the fan base, but still, some of the things that have been done by Indiana fans the last couple of weeks, I feel like have crossed the line a little bit.
Absolutely, but it's also a good opportunity for fans from, say, Michigan State or Kentucky, not to say that they are, but to step in there with Keon Brooks and try to muddy the waters. I mean, fan bases do that across all the fan bases, but that's something that goes on. It's a war almost of trying to get these kids into the program, and the fan bases have become a part of that, or try to become a part of that. And I think that's part of it. Part of it is they think that they're helping. They think, I can help dissuade that guy or do this or whatever, and actually they don't. Many times they just muddy the waters.
Oh, definitely. You see that every now and then. I saw that last week whenever I was on Twitter, and I think it's really interesting that people do that. But it's kind of funny to me that fans will take the time to sit there and tweet an 18-year-old and go through all that trouble just because they want them in their program.
Absolutely. What else? Keon, speaking of Keon Brooks, I know he's getting closer and closer. We're getting to the end of the month and potentially closer to a commitment from him. Anything that you've heard is leading in that direction yet, or heading there?
Honestly, things have been pretty quiet out of Keon here the last week or so. Still kind of in decision-making mode where he's trying to sort through it and kind of decide what factors are going to be valued the most by him whenever he's sitting here making his decision. It's still kind of it is where it is. I still like Indiana's chances. But I think the shots available and the role in Indiana has to be very attractive to him. I think when you look at that, and a lot of times recruits will look at stuff like that, and that'll be one of the deciding factors. And it all depends on which deciding factor has the most staying power. And that's something that we never truly know, because it all comes down to how a particular prospect views a certain thing and how much they value it. It can vary from person to person, and I think with Keon, it'll be a couple of weeks longer. Potentially, it could even go longer than that if Keon's not ready. But I think it's more of a wait-and-see thing with them right now.
Absolutely, and there are other people out there. But one thing that Armand Franklin, he has really elevated his game this year, or seems to. You hear a lot about him, but somebody I've not heard of much at all about is Brandon Newman.
Yeah, I think part of that has to do with where he plays at, being up there about Brazo a lot of times. Guys can get kind of, lost in the shuffle up there. And that just kind of happens with the geography of the state. Guys in the northern part of the state, unfortunately, they can kind of slept on sometimes. But from what I looking at and what I've heard, Brandon's having a great season. I had a chance to watch him play in more Central earlier this year. He was really, really good. He was able to put the ball on the floor and just go downhill all game. And that's when he's at his best, when he's just able to get to the rim like that. But still really raw. Has to, work on a number of things, like, his handles and his, shot a little bit more, even though he's a good catch-and-shoot guy. He can work in, scoring in different ways, I think, is something he can work on. But he's going to be really good for Purdue, I think, and I think that's a great get for Matt Painter.
If an extra scholarship became open for next year, who is someone that Indiana is or would target immediately?
Obviously, I don't count scholarships, honestly, at this point. If a coach wants to get a guy that's thinking to get him, they'll make room for him. But, at this point, I said yesterday, at this point, I've been kind of surprised if Indiana only took 3 guys in this class. I feel like they need more. They definitely need more in this class. You look at a guy like Harlan Beverly at Montverde Academy, who's kind of a slow-moving recruitment. He's more of a 2-1, can play some point guard, but he's more of a 2-guard and a good shooter. But he's got good enough handles to put the ball on the floor and play the one and certain spurts. And he's a guy that I'm starting to like more and more the more I see him. Like I said, he's really good at the catch and shoot. He showed the ability to drive the basketball and sort of contact around the rim. Definitely a lot stronger. But he's a prospect that can benefit Indiana a lot and help them with a lot of their deficiencies. And after that, I don't think we really know who any of these people are, because I think a lot of it depends on who's going to be available in the transfer market, their situation. Can they get into Indiana, even though it's suffering, to get grad transfers in? I think a lot of it will be determined in the spring, and right now, after Beverly, I don't even think we have an idea of who that could be.
Well, one thing that's definitely needed on this team is shooters. Todd Leary's on the show often every week, and we do the post-game show now after the games. And he talked about when he was playing that they had like 6 guys that all shot over 40% from distance. I mean, that obviously a great luxury to have. None of on this team, but that's something that I've seen with this offense. You have to have shooters. Well, any team has to have shooters, but particularly this offense, which relies so much on an interior type game, a game around the rim. You've got to have shooters that will help augment that and pull the defense out or keep them honest. And not having that is something that they've got to address. I know I'm not telling somebody anything that they don't know, but that to me is got to be a recruitment paramount. That's something that they've got to be focusing on.
100%. I wrote my article on Friday night after the game about past roster construction and how it's played a role in IU getting to where it is now. And you look at this team, and I don't see a knockdown shooter at all, to be honest. And then I don't see a guy that's capable of putting the ball on the floor and just blowing by a defender with the ability to create for themselves and create for others. Romeo Langford's a driver, he's a scorer, so there's obviously a difference. I think it's very hard to win games without either of those two things. And for Indiana, they rely so much on their first 2 options. And Romeo's a driver and a scorer, as Juwan. He works inside a lot. So they need somebody from the perimeter that can knock down shots. They need someone that can create shots. And unfortunately for Indiana, they just don't have any of them. And I think, some of that can be placed on Archie Miller's shoulders, but I think a large portion of it has to be placed on Tom Crean's shoulders, as he was, the guy that did build the roster, and honestly, more of his guys are on this team than Archie Miller has, and I think that definitely has something to do with it. But you're not going to hear Archie say that. As you saw after the game, he took full blame for everything, and honestly, basically said Indiana has to just be better.
Yeah, I'd said it Friday night on the postgame show with Todd Leary, and I'll say it again. I do not believe Archie would have recruited a single player on that team that he didn't recruit, and that includes Juwan Morgan. It does not mean I don't think Juwan's a good player. He's a great player, but I don't think he would have recruited any of those players. That's not his style, and I just don't think he would have recruited any of them.
I think that's a good point. You look at some of the guys that Crean would take towards the end of his time at Indiana, and one of the big problems with what Crean was doing is just how much he would reach on a player. And, when you're in Indiana, you don't necessarily need to reach. You can look for the next Victor Oladipo or someone of that nature without taking, everyone that you see that's an underrated player. And if you do what Crean did, the problem is you end up with, Tim Frillers, Jeremiah Aprils of the world, and that's not good. That having those guys on scholarship, for 4 years, that's a big shot at a program. It takes up a scholarship for 4 years. That's a big deal, and that's the biggest thing with Crean is how much he would reach. And I agree with you because I don't think Archie would have reached on some of those players, even the guy that's going to Juwan Morgan is. And I think that's something that's very interesting to think about.
Yeah, because I'll be honest with you, at the beginning of the season, I was fooled by the depth of his team. I was, which the injuries had a big part of that. But that aside, the guys that they have, I thought were going to be better. I thought Justin Smith was going to be better. I thought Evan Fitzner was going to be better. I thought Demezy Anderson would be able to contribute a little more than he has. I thought that Jake Forster might be able to contribute more than he has. But again, then you've got the injuries to Jerome Hunter, who would have definitely probably have contributed a lot, but not getting to see him. But getting back to the guys that I thought would contribute, they're not. And you add the injuries to that, and that just, you're done. You got nothing in the tank. You got nothing coming in. They're getting no points, production off the bench, and it's killing this team.
Right. I didn't think this team would be very deep, after a couple games into the season. But before the season, I was sitting there thinking, that they got some pieces. They have some guys they can rotate, in and out. It won't be that much of a drop-off. But I was clearly wrong. I clearly overvalued some of the guys they brought in. And, that's just something that happens sometimes, and when you look at a guy like Jerome going down, that's something you can't prepare for. It's just some bad luck, and he's a guy that would have been a big shot in the arm for this team. And then something that you didn't mention, but I thought Devontae Green would take a step forward this year, potentially develop into a third option. I was kind of bought into that during the off season, but clearly I kind of jumped the gun on that.
Well, so did everybody else.
Yeah. A lot of people around the program believed he would be, but that's another problem for Indiana not having the third option. And it seems like we thought Justin Smith or Devontae Green would be good candidates, but neither has really evolved or shown the growth required to.
Got to hit on the break here, brother. Drew, I appreciate you joining us. We got to get to a break. I'm sorry about that at the top of the hour, but look forward to doing it again at the end of the week, brother.
All right, sounds good, man. I look forward to talking to you on Friday, and have a good week.
Thanks, Drew. DrewDavisPeaks.com. Check out his articles there. We'll get back right after this on Indiana Sports Beat. This is Jim Poyle. When I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for a happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen. a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or at indianasportsbeat.com. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. We don't miss a beat.
We're coming to your city. We're gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Welcome along to Indiana Sports Beat. Thanks a lot for joining us. Hope you had a great weekend. Ready for a fresh week. Jim Coyle sitting in with you as always. Justin Kalen high atop the crew chief's box.
That's right.
Keeping things spinning, keeping us rolling. Got a lot to get to today. Indiana, another tough loss over the weekend, 6 in a row as they go down to Michigan. Got Don Fisher on the program today. A lot to get to. Before we get to it, let's get to the headlines with Justin.
All right, here are your headlines. Your daily Hoosier headlines on this 28th day of January 2019. Indiana basketball loses their 6th straight game on Friday night, 69-46 as Michigan came to town. Indiana women's basketball didn't fare much better as they lose to number 11 Maryland, 76-56 yesterday. A lot of upsets in the Big Ten this weekend as Illinois beats Maryland 78-67, Ohio State 70-60 over Nebraska, Wisconsin 62-46 over Northwestern, Rutgers 64-60 over Penn State, and Purdue with a big 73-63 win over Michigan State. And Iowa takes down Minnesota takes down Iowa, 92-87. Those are your Daily Hoosier headlines on this 28th day of January. For more information, go to thedailyhoosier.com.
And welcome back here, Indiana Sports Beat. As Justin said, Indiana lost 6 in a row now as they go down to Michigan Friday night in Assembly Hall, Simon Scott Assembly Hall. Jumped out to a 17-0 lead.
It was bad.
I got to tell you, and I said this, we did a post-game show with Todd Leary the other night after the game with Todd Leary, and I don't understand how it can be a thing that you get off to bad starts in a basketball game. I mean, I can see it happening sometimes, but I cannot see this being a thing where every game you're going to be down by at least 10 and as much as 17 points to start the game. I don't see how that is just possible to do every time. And if that is the case, I'm blowing every timeout I got in the first 4 minutes from now on. It may not work. I don't know, but I do know this. It ain't working now. Yeah. So what do you have to lose? I was kind of wondering that, why I'm like, ooh, get a timeout now. Get a timeout now the other night. 17 at home. It's... I don't have an explanation. I got nothing on that. It's mind-boggling. Now, everyone is up in arms, and you get a lot of people, why don't they do this? Well, there's a lot of reasons. And it's not as simple as just well, they don't do this because of that. Well, there are so many facets that have gone into this season, and people have to understand that he's doing this with people he didn't recruit. Now, he's got some of his own on there, yes. His second-best recruit's hurt, not going to get to play. Their depth was shot, and it wasn't as deep as we thought either. Some guys are not performing like we thought that they would perform. I don't know if that's their fault or ours for having higher expectations than we should have. But Archie talked about it after the game. We're going to hear from John Beilein as well. He talked about this very thing. Mike Schumann, one of our news partner, asked John Beilein about getting off to these kind of starts because he went through this at Michigan. When he first started, he was like 46-53 after 3 years or something.
To manage it and have...
Oh.
You don't have it?
I do. Hang on.
But Mike asked him that very question about what Indiana's going through right now, what Archie's dealing with.
Those first few years were really hard because you think you'll have a key victory somewhere, and you say, okay, we're almost there. I don't think you ever think you're there. And then you realize that back then it was 18 games, now it's 20 games. Now you're at Indiana, you're going to play a really tough schedule. It is really hard to maintain this, and the only way you can do it is culture. But you also need other teams to go down. They got to have teams that go through stuff. We were fortunate that a few programs went down in that. You remember, it was right after that where Indiana had to rebuild. People have to just, and that's the way you stick. Because sometimes you could do everything right, but if nobody goes down, nobody's going away. Wisconsin's not going away. Michigan State's not going away. Michigan's not going away. There's a lot of people you got to get in front of that. So I think that's really important. I know Archie will do that, but it is not as easy as people think.
John, getting up.
He talked about the other teams have to go down. Indiana's the team that's down right now. Everybody else is coming up. I mentioned that earlier. It's bad timing in addition to all of that. It's bad timing for it to be happening to Indiana this year because this is by far one of the toughest years of the Big Ten in a long, long time.
For sure.
Illinois is on the way up. Underwood's been there for, 3 years now?
Didn't he get there at the same time as Archie? I want to say he's only in his second year.
Second or third, but it's another point. It takes a couple years. He's got 2 recruiting classes, I think. But anyway, it just takes time. You have high expectations because you're coming off of a downer the last year of Crean, and boy, everything looks great. Everybody's excited. Then you land Romeo Langford. Oh, my gosh, that stars are aligning. And then injuries hit. Some guys don't perform. Archie can't make guys perform. Archie can't make Evan Fitzner hit threes. He can't make Demezy Anderson hit threes and be a better defender this fast. He's a freshman. He's never been forced to play defense anywhere close to this magnitude. He hasn't had to play against guys that are this good nonstop. Just like Romeo Langford was always the best player on the floor, generally Demezy Anderson was always the best player on the floor when he played, unless they played someone like Romeo. So he's dominating. He grew up dominating these guys. He was always better. Well, now you got all the good guys are all in college teams. So it's not like you can just dominate. So now you have to learn, and you have to adapt, and you have to go through fundamentals. And it is a process. It's a learning process. Romeo Langford had to learn to play defense at this level. He did not have to play defense like this in high school.
No.
He wasn't challenged offensively like this in high school by other defenders because he's so much better than virtually everybody in high school. When you're he was the best player in Indiana high school basketball last year because he won the Mr. Basketball. Well, then that means no one is going to challenge him hardly on the floor, and that's generally the case. Now that's not the case. Now night in, night out, he's challenged. Every one of these players are challenged night in and night out because everybody on these other teams were the best players on the floor in high school. It's different. It's an adjustment. And Indiana's top 5 is not better than many people's top 5 in the Big Ten.
No, if anyone's.
It's not. It's in the bottom 5 probably. That's as a team.
Above Penn State.
Oh, definitely above Penn State. They're above Illinois and above Rutgers. Above Northwestern, talent-wise, but they're just not as far up as people think. And not having a knockdown shooter doesn't work well for this offense. When you're working around the rim, you've got to have somebody draw them away. We've talked about that relentlessly. But you look at someone like Purdue who went from toiling in the beginning of the season, and I said that they're not even going to make the tournament. Part of that was because I knew how much they lost, which was a lot. They lost a lot of talent. They've got one great player, but the difference between having a great player like him and one like Romeo Langford, and this is not a knock on Romeo, Carson Edwards is a senior. Carson Edwards has 4, and if he redshirted, 5 years of Big Ten basketball. 5 years of playing for Matt Painter in Matt Painter's system, under Matt Painter's style. If you think that doesn't make a difference, you're nuts. It does. Romeo Langford played for Jim Shannon for 4 years. Used to that, knew everything he needed to do there. Now he's moved on, different level, different coach, much more to learn, still learning. Just because you're great doesn't mean you don't have things to learn.
Right.
He does. And he has to adapt, but he also has to deal with the fact that he doesn't have the supporting cast. His supporting cast is not giving him the performance that, say, Carson Edwards is. Makes a huge difference.
Well, and I think the comparison from high school is a good point because he didn't necessarily have a good supporting cast in high school either. But
it's Sean East and
but I mean, I think it speaks to the level. I mean, Romeo was the best player in Indiana high school basketball. Now you get to college, and if you don't have that supporting cast, it's going to be really hard for you. And that's exactly
in this
what I'm
league,
seeing.
in this league this year especially. Yeah. That's the thing. Not only you've moved up to Big Ten, But you're moving up to the Big Ten at the height that it's been in 15, maybe 20 years. They are as tough. This conference is as tough top to bottom. If you don't believe me, Illinois is one of the worst teams in the conference, and they just got a nice win. Purdue is a team that was below average to start the season. Now they just beat one of the best teams in the country and possibly the best team in the Big Ten, Michigan State. They're heading in the right direction. But those guys have been there. He's using guys that have been in the system. You got Matt Harms coming off the bench that's been there for 3 years now at 7-3? If you think that doesn't make a difference, so the expectations have to be lowered, and patience is going to have to be exhibited. That's just all there is to it, because all the bitching in the world ain't going to change anything. Archie Miller did not forget how to coach. Yes, he did it at Dayton, but he was there for 7 years. We were talking about, there was some posts going back and forth on Twitter last night, and somebody had mentioned, there's this group of coaches. You talk about Beeline and Krzyzewski, they wanted to fire in the beginning, that had very, very rough starts where their fan bases wanted to fire them. But look what's happening now with them. But then they say, well, but you can look at Billy Gillispie and Steve Alford. Well, but that's different. Steve Alford's been a head coach for 28 years. You know how many times he's been past the Sweet 16? 0. Never. No success in the tournament. So, no, it's not a good option. Billy Gillispie at Kentucky, do you know the longest he had ever been at any? He's been coaching since 1982. Longest he'd ever been at one school? 3 years. All that is being the new boyfriend thing. You know how when you date somebody and everything's great in the beginning, just falling all over each other and doing, oh, honey, let me do this for you. And then what happens 3 years later? Can you pick your stuff up? That's like what happened with Billy Gillispie. He was the new boyfriend everywhere he went. And then I think that when his true capabilities came out, or he would use that to catapult to a next job, is what he was doing. Have a successful year, boom, gone. Couple of successful years at Texas A&M and beat Kentucky. Had a great player, and Kentucky says, this is the next guy. Wasn't.
Not even close.
Big flop. Big flop. Do you know where he is now? He is setting a new 4-year mark for the first time at Ranger College.
Look at him go.
Kentucky's former coach, Billy Gillispie, now coaches at Ranger College. Kentucky former coach, Tubby Smith, coaches at High Point.
Tubby's still coaching?
Yeah, he left Memphis and went there. But the point is, those are different analogies. So, yeah, you can compare. Someone said you can't compare those. Yeah, you can. Because Alfred's is over a long period of time. Gillespie's, the proof's in the numbers. Look, you can see. Boom, he just jump. Jump from school. Then they're like, oh, this guy, he can't really coach. When he was at Kentucky, he was exposed. That's why he's at Ranger College now. Ranger College. At least Mike Davis is at Detroit Mercy. We got to take a break. We got a lot coming up on the show today. Don Fisher's with us. Stay tuned. We're back with more here on Indiana Sports Beat right after this. This is Jim Foyle when I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers. You can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for a happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or at indianasportsbeat.com. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. We don't miss a beat. Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. You know that sound. Johnny B. Good. Welcome in. John Bowe, our good friend from Wave 3 News. John, how are you, sir?
Hey, I'm good. How are you guys?
Great, great. Hope you had a wonderful weekend with the family.
It was good. I got a little fishing in Saturday and went to a sports show on Friday night. Watched me a little Michigan State and Purdue yesterday. Watched a little X Games yesterday. It was good.
You got it all going on.
Yeah.
How's life without the NFL? You had a week off with no NFL. That had to be a good break for you because you're not digging on the NFL anyway.
Well, you know what? I rediscovered something I discovered a year ago on this date, and then the year before that, is the X Games are outstanding. Outstandingly done, outstanding athleticism. We were talking one day at work about, in all of athletics, what are really the most difficult sports up at the elite level? And I would submit some of your winter sports. I would submit like hockey, figure skating, and the X Games. For 15, 16-year-old kids to be able to do what they do on those snowboards, off those jumps up in the air, in the big air, and those skiers, the freestyle skiers coming off those jumps, doing 4.5, 360s, and just unbelievable.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
amazing to me.
I can't imagine the training that goes in. Like the first time, like, okay, I'm going to do what? I'm going to go up there that high, and I'm going to flip 3 times? Really? And I'm going to land? Yeah, that's
I know.
crazy. First of all, I'm like, who the hell thinks to do that to start with, and then masters it like these guys do? It's mesmerizing.
And you don't really get an idea of the size of those jumps in Aspen by watching it on TV. I was skiing up at Alpine Valley over Christmas up in Wisconsin, and they had made like an X Games kind of a course, like a freestyle course, with the bars and all that, and then a couple of big jumps. But these jumps are like 1/10 the size of the ones in Aspen, and even then, just skiing up onto the jump and looking down is just freaked me out. And to think these kids come flying off those things on a snowboard and do 4 or 5 spins and land perfectly, I think is one of the most amazing things in all of sport. I really can't get enough of it.
It's certainly amazing and a very, very cool endeavor to watch. Now we got the Super Bowl coming up next weekend. I just kind of had forgotten about it, but the Super Bowl's upon us.
Okay, so I completely flipped my take on Tom Brady. I've been a hater. Been a hater my whole life of Tom Brady. And I had MLK Day off last week.
Bromance.
So I got to watch.
We got a bromance brewing.
I got to. I don't know about a bromance, but in appreciation for his greatness, I watched both of the games, every snap of both of those great AFC and NFC championship games, and then I got to tell you what I saw from Tom Brady. And it cracks me up because the first half of the season, all of those, those talking head shows on Fox Sports and ESPN, the Skip Bayless of the world, all calling for Tom Brady to hang it up. He's lost a step and lost his touch. And I'm thinking, no, you're wrong. And then to watch that game a couple Sundays ago where he was 6 for 6 on 3rd and long in the fourth quarter and overtime, threading balls in dire situations. You have to make this play or you lose the game in the season. To see him do it every single time was amazing to me. I mean, he is the greatest. I saw Keith Olbermann did a great piece, a perspective piece, a really objective piece, and funny, like he always does on Brady yesterday. And Brady, he's been in 9 Super Bowl. Brady has been in 17% of all the Super Bowls of all time. Think about that.
It's crazy.
That's amazing. And he's almost never had weapons. He's had like the Julian Edelmans of the world.
All different and always different.
Yeah. Yeah. Little white guys crossing the field. And the thing is, you know what? Remember Vince Young in Texas, the year they won the national championship? Remember they only had like 6 plays? They really had like 6 plays. I've been watching the same 6 plays for the New England Patriots for 15 years now. The same, put a guy in motion, snap the ball, and have him do a little 4-out flare. The same, throw it to Gronkowski over the middle. The same inside handoff and the same quick outs. The same little quick out passes for 15 years. And they just keep winning.
Yeah.
Like could somebody please draw up a defense to stop the 6 plays they run?
Yeah, it's to do it this long, but with the different cast. I mean, you can look at Michael Jordan and the Bulls, but he had a lot of the same guys. He had Scottie Pippen. There was a couple of changes, but not like anything close to what the Patriots have gone through over the scope of from the first to now of the personnel that has changed. And the one constant has been Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, and that's just a fact. So it is mind-boggling, but man, it is what it is, and you can't deny it. That's the professional level. That's not girls basketball, and I'm not knocking girls basketball, but it's easier to dominate in that area than it is, say, professional football. And they freaking dominated for 15 years.
Yep. I was a hater because of a couple of cheating scandals where they were caught red-handed, Deflategate, and the one where they were taping all the offenses.
Well, if you ain't cheating, you're not trying.
Yeah, I know, but I don't like that. But the facts remain. I mean, he's still, even when they don't catch him, he wins, and he wins. You can see it with the naked eye. You can see how great he is. So I'm a big fan of excellence. Like, I'm not a Duke hater. I'm not a dynasties. I'm not a Golden State hater. I'm a big fan of excellence. So good for him. Keep it rolling. I'm not much of a Rams guy. The most fascinating thing I saw over the weekend, have you seen the article on ESPN yet on the 4 refs closest to the blown call in the Saints game?
No.
The four refs, 4 of the refs on the officiating crew have homes live in Southern California in that Saints game, the Saints-Rams game.
Wow.
And then they went into great detail on the 4 guys, where they have their homes, and then where they were on the field and what their responsibilities were on that pass play, on the blown call play. And they were all like the 4 closest guys to the play with the most responsibility to make the call there. And all 4 of them didn't, and the rest is history. And now it's coming out that they live in Rams land. I think that is hilarious.
Yeah, it's still, I mean, doesn't prove anything, but it certainly opens up the bag of questions.
I know.
And it's like, golly, if you can't protect it to that level, you got to be kidding me.
I know, man. So, hey, what about your Hoosiers?
Well, things are not great in Hoosierville. Hoosier Nation is up in arms. There's a lot of high expectations. They just don't have as much talent, I think, as people thought they did. There are guys that are not performing. Evan Fitzner came in as a grad transfer, shooting 42% career from behind the arc. He hasn't hit a 3-point shot or one since December. So they're not getting help there. Some players are not developing. Then you had a lot of injuries. They've lost the second recruit. He never saw the floor this year. Second best recruit. Romeo is shooting game not being there, and they're kind of without him having help shooting. They're shutting him down on the inside, and it's really exposing Indiana's weaknesses and flaws. But a lot of it, people have to understand. Archie Miller, he's got one class in there. There's been a lot of things pointed out. John Beilein started out at Michigan 46-53. They wanted to fire Krzyzewski at Duke. You got to give the guy. You just got to forget. Indiana fans just have to forget it. Trust the process, I think. I mean, it is what it is. It's sad, it's disappointing and frustrating, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I was looking at the standings yesterday to see if I could somehow manufacture any scenario where they make the NCAA tournament. I don't see it. They're 3-6 in the Big Ten. They're 12-8 overall. They got about 11 games to play. I think most of the Big Ten teams do. And so you got to figure they're going to have to win 8 of their next 11. That's just not going to happen.
Nope.
I mean, you got to get up to around 20 wins, of course, to make it in the NCAA tournament. So it's looking highly unlikely they're going to get there. That's unbelievable to me.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling. I thought they were a month ago. They were a 4 seed under Joe Lunardi's bracketology. They were a 4 seed.
Really?
Now they're either on the bubble or I'm not even sure if they're there after that Michigan game. And just they get off to these bad starts, which I talked about it earlier. I don't understand how that can be a thing. That every game you get off to a horrible start in basketball. I just don't know how that consistently be the same thing. And they were down 17-0 at Assembly Hall to Michigan the other night. It's just blows my mind.
Well, that's Wisconsin suffers from the same thing. I've noticed that with my team this year, and I think that's coaching, man. I'm not saying fire Archie at all. I'm saying give him a lot more time, but that's coaching when you don't come in prepared.
Well,
and that's all there is to that.
And they've lost 6 in a row now, and things are not going to get easier because they've got to go on the road. And although they're going on the road to Rutgers, Rutgers is coming off of a win. The Big Ten makes people don't understand how tough it is. The teams at the bottom, that is Rutgers and Illinois. Illinois just had a big win over who they beat, Justin? Over Nebraska. Illinois beats Nebraska. Yep. You got Purdue beating Michigan State. But Illinois and Rutgers, those are teams at the bottom, but they're winning. So when the teams at the bottom are winning, It's a scary, scary league right now. It's just a bad time for Indiana to be in rebuild mode, and they're basically in rebuild mode, and I don't think that they really looked at it in that regard at the beginning of the season, but that's turned out to be the fact of the matter.
I got to tell you, I thought, I'll say something controversial here. I think we saw the two best teams in the Big Ten, the two best teams with a chance to make the Final Four yesterday, playing each other. I think Purdue's got that beautiful mix of one of the three best scorers in the country, Carson Edwards. That Klein dude can shoot out the gym. He can shoot from anywhere because of the way he holds the ball back over his head. They got a sharpshooter with him. And I think that Harms, that tall, skinny white kid, is really getting good. He's like really a battler down low. They got a nice mix. I think they could be Final Four about. And I think Michigan State reminds me of Villanova last year in their style of play. They lower the shoulder, and they come at you and through you every possession, every second of the game. They're going at you and through you, bangers. With college kids who look like they're 6-year NBA veterans with their facial hair and how old they look, down low. I love Michigan State, too, especially the way they came back, even having a bad game. And Purdue looked great, even though Carson Edwards was not having a great game. I think both of those are Final Four possibilities. So I would watch for that.
Absolutely. Well, you got some great coaches, and they run their programs the same way. Both teams have guys that have been in that program for multiple years. You got Carson Edwards. He's a four-year player, man. He's been there. So they've got age on them, and both of those teams, and they've got some veteran players that they can mix in with some good players. But Purdue is a team that really playing poorly and early on, and I didn't see them even making a tournament. But now you talk about them being a Final Four team. They're playing very good basketball. They're trending in the right direction, the direction that you want to be trending, and they're going up with a bullet.
Yeah, call me crazy. I actually think both of those teams look better to me with the eye test than even Kansas and Kentucky, which I watched the night before. My eye test is like Purdue, Michigan State, Duke, Virginia. I still love Virginia, even though they're tournament gaggers. They look really, really good. So it could be fun, man. It's going to be a fun tournament.
Yeah, I think it will be. It's going to be exciting because Duke looks unbeatable at times, but then they get beat. So it's not impossible at all. And plus, all the tournament games, none of them are played on their home court. So anything can happen. You're right. It ought to be exciting. But we got a lot of basketball left. We got an entire month of February to play. So we'll see if things can change or turn around. But they better start now.
I know. So, yeah, after football. Oh, I got to give you a little insider tip. Since we're 90-some days away from Derby right now, this year's Justify debuted at Gulfstream Park on Saturday in a maiden race. Remember the name Hidden Scroll, okay? Hidden Scroll by Bill Mott, great trainer, great bloodlines to Hard Spun. This horse went out in 22 seconds to the quarter, 44 to the half. All horses die after those fractions. This horse passed the 7-furlong mark at 121. That's Breeders' Cup winning speed. And then throttled it down and trotted across the finish line to blow him away by 10. Yeah, got a 104 buyer. Hidden Scroll. Book it. Unless something happens to that horse, we might have another Justify.
John, I don't know if we can trust you anymore after your Derby horse pick last year.
That's okay. No, I'm at 34% lifetime. Picking the Derby over like 30 years. So I don't get it all the time. And I had a streak going. That's okay, though. Now, I'm not saying this horse is going to win. I got to see some of the other ones emerge. But this is absolutely a lights-out thing to keep your eye on now. Next time Hidden Scroll takes the track.
I've got it written down, Hidden Scroll by Hard Spun. We're going to put money down on it, baby. John Bowe, I appreciate you. Can't wait to talk to you again next week. Look forward to it. Thank you, sir.
All right, see you guys. Bye-bye.
John Bowe from Wave 3 News joins us each week. Appreciate that. We've got a lot more coming back. Don Fisher's on the show right after this. Stay tuned. Indiana Sports Beat. We're back after this. This is Jim Coyle. When I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, you want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Today's Boyle. guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. With hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat, joined now by the great Don Fisher, the voice of the Indiana Hoosiers. Don, how are you, sir?
I'm well. How are you?
Great, great. I hope you had a great weekend.
I did.
That's always good to have.
I wouldn't call it great, though, when you lose your first game on Friday night. No.
Yeah, that's a bad way to start off, that's for certain. And that brings you've been calling basketball at Indiana for a long, long time. Everyone knows that. How hard is it when the team that you've got a lot of invested to, you're there all the time, and you have to be energetic for that? How hard is it when in the midst of a losing streak like this for you to be able to deliver like you do game in and game out?
Well, I mean, it's not hard in the sense that that the work is hard. I mean, it's a great job, and I look at it that way. But the hard part is understanding what's going on, and I think that's the hard part for everybody. It's the hard part for the coach. It's the hard part for the team. Everybody is wondering why this has happened, and what's behind it. And there's no real answer to it. I mean, there's a myriad of answers.
Yeah, that's the thing.
The problem is that the question is, how do you get it stopped? And without question, that's what Archie Miller, his coaching staff, and these players have to figure out. And right now, it is a real mystery. And I said that to Archie after the ball game on Friday night. I said, I'm not trying to be funny, but there's a real mystery with this team right now. And, of course, he went on to say that this ball club has embarrassed themselves. They played poorly. There's no continuity with this basketball team. The start of the ball game against Michigan showed that, down 17-0, and it just never got better. And obviously it did at some point where they were able to come back a little bit, but you just never saw it. And against good teams, you just can't do that. We've seen that on and on again now here of late, and it's resulted in this team losing 6 straight ball games. It's a ball club that at one point everybody thought was a lock to be in the NCAA tournament and probably a very high seed, and they've gone away from all of that. All of those things have disappeared now, and now they're fighting for their NCAA life and just to stay relevant in the Big Ten Conference race at this juncture. And unfortunately, that's where this team finds itself, and I'm not quite sure how they dig themselves out, because this team has some obvious issues that have not been able to be solved. Obviously, number one being the fact that they can't shoot the ball from outside. There's no consistent outside scorer in this basketball team, and you've got to have more than one guy that can do that. And right now, I'm not sure we have anybody that can do it on a consistent basis. We've certainly seen that.
Yeah, when you can only attack on one front like Indiana can right now through the post, and these other teams are now packing it in because they're daring Indiana to shoot from outside, and that makes it a lot more difficult for Romeo to do what he had been doing, for Jawan to do what he had been doing, and it's showing itself. Indiana's been exposed to that, and I think some of these teams are taking advantage of that.
Well, and here's the other thing, and Archie alluded to this as well. This team has lost its confidence. There's no belief in this basketball team right now, and I say that in the sense of things getting turned around, or at least that's what it appears. This team, they can talk the talk, but they haven't walked the walk, and you've seen this ball club disintegrate in the sense of its confidence level. There's nobody that walks out there with an attitude at this juncture. When they walk out and they're introduced on the floor and stuff like that, you don't see the fire in the belly. And I mentioned this last week. That's the one thing that bothers me the most. We don't have an edge guy. We don't have a guy that's not afraid to get up into somebody's face and let them know that this is what you've got to do, and you've got to get better at it, and you've got to stop doing this or that, whatever the case may be. The only guy that's doing that is the coach. And this is college basketball. All basketball these days are the makeup of their team. The team owns it. That's just the way it is. And coaches, they have to enhance that. They have to nourish it. But if a team doesn't have that it factor or that edge factor or that fire in the belly factor, I don't know how you get that, because coaches can't manufacture it. The kids have to want to do that. They have to want to have it in their gut. And I don't see that. I don't see it from – the only player you see it from just because he plays so hard is Juwan Morgan. He's the only one in this basketball team on a consistent basis that you know night in and night out is going to go out and fight you. The rest of these guys have not done that, and it's going to be up to them to turn it around.
Yeah, and I mentioned something earlier that kind of really bothered me watching that game the other night, because to me it went right to the core of what you just talked about. When Justin Smith lost his shoe, and instead of not worrying about that and staying on his man, and I don't mean to point one person out, that's not really fair to do, it's just an example, but he's fiddling around with trying to get his shoe, and the guy is just putting a layup in, and I'm like, man, I think if you're locked in to just competing, you're not going to worry about that. But that was kind of a embarrassing moment for him, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think I think there's been nothing but embarrassing moments of late for this basketball team, and I don't think Justin Smith is the prime example. I think you can point at everybody.
Right.
I don't see any fire in Romeo Langford, and I know that sounds sacrilegious, but You tell me if Romeo Langford looks like the same player you saw in high school.
Absolutely. No, he's just not. And I'm talked about that. I don't know if it's because this is a different level. When you're in high school, especially Romeo Langford, you're always the best player on the floor, and that's not always the case now. He's playing against guys that are 2, 3, 4 years older than him that have been in these systems for all this time, and they know what they're doing. He's got a lot to learn. It doesn't matter how good he is. He's moving up to the Big Ten, and there's a lot to learn in that level.
There's no question. And Romeo, I don't know how significant the hand injury that he has is. I know he's tried to play without that brace on it, and that may be a factor in why he's struggling to shoot the basketball from outside. But he doesn't look like the same player. He doesn't look confident. I would never thought I would ever say that about this kid because he is such a talent, but he just doesn't look like the same player. And like I really believe the lack of a fiery leader on this basketball team is an issue. I don't think there's any question, especially now when things have gotten tough and at this juncture of the season when your season is sliding away and you're looking at it from the standpoint that we've got to beat somebody and we can't allow ourselves to get beat in this ball game. And I don't see that fire from anyone. And I know Juwan plays hard and all those kinds of things, but he is one of those guys. And I think I said this, and we did, and he said it on the talk show. He's not a guy that likes to yell and scream at people. He just doesn't do that. That's not the way he functions, and he doesn't like it himself. And like I said before, I just don't see that this team has that kind of a leader on it. And I think that's one of the big issues this ball club is suffering from right now.
Yeah, they could certainly use a dose of Michael Lewis or a player like that who would get in there and mix it up. He'd mix it up with his own team if he had to.
Right. And the Dane Fifes and the great leaders that we've seen through the years of this ball club, in this program, the Joe Hillman, the Quinn Buckners, those kinds of people, not afraid to be a hard-nosed teammate. And I'm honestly, this team right now lacks that. I'm not sure that there's anybody on this ball club this year that can take that role. And at this
today for Indiana Sports Beat. Justin Kalen, I'm Jim Coyle, and I will see you on the radio.